In part, this video is about one of the most unusual objects I think humanity has ever created, the smartphone. A pocket-sized doorway into a world of entertainment, communication and limitless information. Smartphones open up the world to us anywhere, instantly. TV, movies, games, information and communication all on tap 24/7. They're a marvel of technological development. Their capabilities are astounding. Be honest, you wouldn't want to be without a smartphone, and if I'm being honest, neither would I. That's why everyone's face is continually glued to them. But there's another object that once held a similar place in our lives, one so different from a smartphone you've probably never compared them. Books of bound blank pages. I'm talking about notebooks, sketchbooks and journals, small blocks of paper that are small enough to carry around with you. Unlike smartphones, these things give us absolutely nothing. No content, no recommendations, and no built-in stimulation. They're not even a standalone technology. You need another tool, a pen or a pencil, to actually use them. They have no intelligent algorithms, no global connection, and provide no passive entertainment whatsoever. They're old-fashioned, slow and limited, the antithesis of a smartphone in almost every way. So why, you may be sitting there thinking, would I even want to compare them? Well, both have acted as portable technology that we can connect our brains to. Pocket companions that occupy our attention and enable the exchange of ideas. So the focus of this video is comparing these two very different types of technology. I want to get you thinking about the differences between the tiny computers we each carry around, smartphones, and notebooks. Tools that haven't really changed that much since Leonardo da Vinci was scribbling in them centuries ago. That might sound weird to some people, but I think there's some really important realizations to be found in that comparison. Realizations about the world we currently live in and the world we're heading into. Honestly, I think everyone is going to find this interesting. So enough of the intro, let's dive in. The smartphone is one of the most useful tools we have ever invented. Whether you use one for most of the day yourself or spend half of your life trying to get your kids to put one down, their usefulness can't really be disputed. They enable instant communication with people anywhere in the world and allow us to record and document pretty much anything. They help us to navigate unfamiliar towns and cities or consume informative videos, much like the one you're watching right now. We can use them to listen to music, learn new skills, and access pretty much the entirety of human recorded knowledge. Long story short, the smartphone is an extraordinary invention. Personally, I've always found their capabilities awe-inspiring, moving even. That's because for most of human history, people could only really imagine, dream of possessing something with such power. A single device that removes the limitations of distance and provides a window into knowledge can change the lives of individuals. And to be clear, smartphones have changed people's lives, billions of them, for the better. But just as railways alter the geography of countries, the smartphone's convenience has slowly but surely changed the geography of life itself. And smartphones have done that in ways that have eroded some important aspects of the human experience. For example, moments that were once silent have been shattered by the constant noise of stimulation. Situations that led to boredom have been replaced by endless, often pointless scrolling. Good, you might say. I don't want to be bored. I want to have something to stimulate me in these situations. Queues, bus journeys, waiting rooms, TV ad breaks, sitting on the toilet, and lying in bed at night. But these small gaps in our daily lives once created opportunities for our thoughts to flow. Now, unfortunately, they belong to a network that we can't see and we certainly can't control. And this matters. It matters because it's changed us. If you monitor your own smartphone usage, you will likely see that it delivers interruptions and distractions more often than it does good information, important information, and useful tools. Never forget that smartphones act as the main interface into an ecosystem designed from the ground up to gain your attention. Smartphones aren't a gift for society. They're commercial products formulated to make money. The result is notifications, recommendations, endless feeds, personalized suggestions, autoplay systems, and monetized engagement loops. Even when we pick up a phone with intention, that intention is often redirected in seconds. A quick message to a friend, loved one, or colleague becomes 20 minutes of fragmented attention spread across social platforms and different entertainment providers or games. Over time, this creates an almost imperceptible shift in the relationship that exists between ourselves and our minds. The result is smartphones have become our default destination for cognitive downtime, an always ready escape hatch from boredom, silence, or social awkwardness. Now I'm going to pause here just to make something really clear. This video is not anti-smartphone. This channel isn't anti-technology. And the videos I make only ever seek to explain the impact of technology, never to convince you not to use it. I use a smartphone every day myself for messaging, photography, AI assistance, and generally organising my otherwise unorganised life. As I've already highlighted, these devices are ridiculously useful, but something can be useful and damage you at the same time. And I think the smartphone is one piece of technology, a really powerful piece of technology, I have to say, that's led to the effects that many of us are feeling as a result of living inside highly optimized systems. Because the smartphone doesn't just offer us tools and make our lives better. It creates an environment and encourages us to stay in it. An environment built around speed, immediacy, engagement, and consumption. One where our attention is constantly being seized and then redirected. But outside that environment, there are useful things that can't exist within it. In fact, being disconnected, free of algorithms, and completely offline, they're diametrically opposed to it. Things like notebooks, sketchbooks, and journals, objects that operate on completely different principles. A notebook does absolutely nothing on its own. It has no intelligence, no connectivity, and no ability to entertain us. Instead, it just waits, blank, motionless, and silent. It's a totally disconnected analog technology. But that waiting and disconnection is precisely what makes a notebook so important. It doesn't attempt to capture our attention, vibrating in our pockets to try to remove our minds from the physical world. It doesn't analyze us, profile us, or shape itself around our behavior. Thankfully, it has no awareness of us whatsoever. It's simple, non-dynamic, and as far away from being smart as you can get. It just presents an empty space that requires something from us. Thought, effort, expression, the things we evolved millions of years to be good at. While smartphones primarily deliver content into our minds, notebooks encourage content to come out of them. To me, that distinction feels increasingly important in a world now saturated with algorithmically delivered stimulation. Because when you sit with a notebook, you can actively feel responsibility shifting back onto you. You recognize that to get the most out of this thing, you need to decide what matters. You have to decide what's deserving of your attention, as opposed to an algorithm saying, hey, why don't you look at this? Why don't you do this? So other than a few reminders that you yourself might have scribbled in the back of that notebook, there's no recommendation system guiding your focus. No feed of content choosing on your behalf the next thing that it thinks you should care about. The notebook is the complete opposite of algorithmic culture. It's unplugged, directionless, and entirely personal. A sketchbook doesn't care whether your drawing is any good. And a journal couldn't give two hoots whether your thoughts are valid or not. But I think the most important thing is that there's no likes, no metrics, no followers, nothing like that that's attached to the process of using a stack of blank pages. No invisible audience hovering over your shoulder, judging, commenting, or adding their perspectives. And because of that, notebooks are places where thinking can exist before display. They're spaces that exist before branding, before optimization, and before public consumption. Or they can be places in which you create content that will never see the light of day, away from public display. The great thing is that's up to you. Messy thoughts and half-formed ideas can live quite happily within that landscape. Bad sketches, unfinished concepts, strange observations, and personal reflections, they can all be contained within a notebook without any need to justify them to anyone. When so much of modern digital life pushes us towards visibility, that's becoming increasingly rare. Today we're pushed to publish, react, and present ourselves externally across the network. But notebooks move in the opposite direction, inwards rather than outwards. And I think that many people underestimate how psychologically valuable that can be. Look, smartphones as devices aren't going away anytime soon, and when they do, they'll only be replaced by newer devices that are much better at grabbing our attention and distracting us. That's inevitable, and besides, we need powerful tools like smartphones to properly exist in the complex world that we've built for ourselves. As I've said 100 times before, technology is remarkable and it's transformed human life in extraordinary ways. It will continue to do that. I wouldn't want to live without digital tech, including smartphones and all the many benefits they provide to me. But I also think there's something really important about maintaining spaces outside of optimized systems. Spaces where our thoughts can emerge without constant intervention, without uninvited influence from a connected network. Notebooks, sketchbooks, and journals all represent accessible, valuable versions of disconnected spaces. Any of you can go and buy one right now. They have no predictions, no engagement loops, or endless streams of stimulation competing for our attention. Just pure silence and possibility. These are two things we've starved ourselves of for far too long. That's why blank pages are so powerful, even in the age of AI. Because they return something back to us, something that we're losing. They bring back focus, an internal focus that flourishes most when we disconnect from the network. If all of this interests you, I highly recommend you check out my video series, The Optimization Trap. These videos explore how our relentless drive towards optimization can actually make life worse. I'll put a link above. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.